This is arguably the most picturesque, sensational racetrack in the world. This is the Red Bull Ring.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're new to the channel, this is the series where I recap each of my race weekends in the Euroformula Open Championship, and I try and show you some of the thought processes and roadblocks that you wouldn't have otherwise seen just watching the races live. If you watched the last episode, you would have seen that I scraped by with some major chassis damage. Now, the weekend also before Imola, I also had major chassis damage in Budapest from a curb strike in turn 4. Everything is fully repaired now and we're ready to go at the Red Bull Ring. Despite having a first gear hairpin, the average speed around the Red Bull Ring track is about 118 miles per hour this year, at least in qualifying trim. So to help explain some of the attributes of my favorite corners at the Red Bull Ring, I'm going to be showing you guys some onboard from a test I did last year. But that being said, the speeds are quite a bit lower than they were this year, and that's because we were running a low downforce trim and different temperatures, different track conditions and all that. So just keep that in mind when you're watching. Red Bull Ring is fairly unique because you have 3 short to medium length straights back to back, followed by 4 amazing high speed corners in sector 2 and 3. Turn 6 is this 5th gear blind downhill corner, which then leads into the banked turn 7, which is taken around 120 miles per hour. Then you enter the forest of sector 3 before taking the 134 mile per hour turn 9. About 1.5 to 2 seconds later, then you are entering the huge compression of turn 10, which leads you back onto the start-finish straight. The last 4 corners on this track are some of my favorites in the world. So immediately in practice, the lap times were right there where you wanted, at the top of the timesheets. Heading into quali, we were confident in the pace of the car and my driving at that point, and on the second set of tires, we managed to absolutely nail the balance of the car. The lap felt fantastic, and apart from a bit of oversteer in the 3rd sector from rear grip falling away as the tires were degrading, I pretty much felt like it was the perfect lap. It ended up being just 0.09 of a second off of pole position, which I was super gutted about, but Jack just managed to put in the absolute perfect lap. Interestingly, we had almost completely different styles in every corner, but we actually nearly netted the exact same lap time. The launch of the line was okay, but not quite as strong as Louis, who took the outside lane. It's tough to see from this angle, but Louis basically just didn't brake for turn 1 and took the access road in order to overtake me. Since I was nowhere near forcing him off track, I was biding my time, waiting for my team to tell me that he just needed to give the position back. But the message never came. The radio had been pretty unusable all weekend, so I just assumed a penalty had already been applied, but I decided to try and attempt an overtake so that maybe I had the chance of catching up to Jack, who was starting to pull away out in front.
Once again, Cameron stays in position 3. Another opportunity for Richard de Giros, disregarding the 5-second penalty. He's driving superbly on debut in Euroformula Open. Louis Foster, Cameron Das go side by side.
What I didn't expect was just the amount of air wash that I would have when I got close to the car ahead. Now, although you don't have any long straights like Spa, Red Bull Ring does have sort of 3 medium-sized straights, so that actually presents some overtaking opportunities. Except this new car is very drag efficient, so there wasn't much toe to speak of, but there was a lot of lost grip in the corners. So despite a few overtake attempts, it was never quite enough to make the move stick on Louis, who was defending very, very well. So the final result of race 1 was P3, so no penalty was applied to Louis after the race either, despite it being re-looked at by the stewards. So now the championship is only separated by a single point, and I'll be starting P4 for the reverse grid of race 2. I had an awful start off the line again, which immediately put me in 6th position heading into turn 1.
outside, no harm done. On the exit of turn 1, Nazi Marksman leads the field up the hill. Right in the slipstream behind him.
Into turn 3, I overtook to take 5th place back, but then immediately lost the place again, heading into turn 4.
Background, as Atzman has to defend from Richard De Geris, who goes around the outside.
The 2 cars ahead were battling pretty hard, so I knew an opportunity to move forward was coming. After a bit of patience, I saw an opportunity to attack into turn 3, but it wasn't really enough to make it stick. I was forced off track, so I just slotted in behind so I could attempt to move into turn 4. Using the slipstream of the car ahead, I had just enough margin on the brakes to make the move work around the outside, which brought me back to 5th position. One of the major aspects of the reverse grid race is the fastest lap. Like every race, the fastest lap awards a single point, but in race 2, the fastest laps gives you the qualifying time for the 3rd and final race of the weekend. That means that everyone saves a full set of new tires for this race, and the drivers may have to postpone battling at some point to ensure they have a decent lap time in the bag. So there's a little bit of strategy play that goes into it. So right when I was about to ease off to go for that quick lap, Jack ahead of me decides to do exactly the same. I noticed he was backing off pretty aggressively to not have so much air wash from Louis, who was ahead of him. So I maybe thought that there could have been an opportunity to catch him off guard.
Racing driver as well. He's the remaining car in entry, and he's behind Casper Stevenson in position 8. Cameron Dass is going to go down the inside. And that is a very important title to maintain his position. A little bit of contact, I think, there. Now Jack Crawford's going to be under pressure from Richard De Geris, but I think there's free. It's going to go free wide into turn 4. So Crawford picks the outside line. Cameron Dass on the inside. De Geris doesn't know where to go. Crawford's going to stick to the outside. He wants to maintain that position.
The move was aggressive for sure, but I had to force him into a mistake to mitigate his strong pace. For the rest of the race, I did what I could to eke out a lap time and keep Jack behind at an arm's length. So the final result was a modest 4th.
That 7A, brilliant drive, Nazi Marksman. This was the championship leader. This is Cameron Dass, who is now 2 points behind Louis Foster. Welcome to the home of the Austrian Grand Prix, Euro Formula Open Race 3. For the final time this weekend, we race Richard De Geris.
And another super poor start for me.
The Frenchman stalls as Crawford.
After being forced off track in turn 1, I slotted back into P3 behind Nazim.
By Nazi Marksman, the Malaysian who won race 2 earlier this morning, slots into 2nd place. Cameron Dass on the outside, they go wheel to wheel at over 230 k's an hour as they race up the hill for the first time. Crawford is gone. Atzman under attack from Cameron Dass, who tries the outside. Louis Foster, the new championship leader, pushes them.
We were all so close here that I'm pretty much having to attack and defend at the same time.
He still holds 2nd place. They're 2 wide, they're 3 wide. Here come the 4 wide cars on the opening lap of the race. Nazi Marksman on the outside.
The following lap, it was time to put the pressure on Naz.
The fact that Richard De Geris stalled.
Yeah, and Cameron Dass is about to attack. Nazim Asman thought about going around turn 2, then tried the out.
By maximizing the exit out of turn 3 and by using the toe of the car ahead, I just managed to squeeze past Nazim on the entry to turn 4. And then from that point on, I pushed as hard as I could to catch up to Jack. But we were more or less doing the same lap times for a while, so the gap was pretty much just staying stagnant. Although the cameras didn't pick up on it, it actually started to rain about halfway through the race. I was hoping for a bit more rain or a safety car to possibly bunch us all up again, but it never came and I ended up finishing P2. That result repositioned me as championship leader by a single point. And that was my race weekend at Red Bull Ring. As always, thank you to the Motopark team for having a flawless performance, as always, and a huge thank you to System X Ceramic Coatings for making this all possible. With that being said, I will see you guys all at the Temple of Speed in Monza, Italy for the penultimate round of the championship. So see you in a couple weeks' time. See you on the next one.